Hey guys, it's Christy with Christy's Custom Creations, and I've had a lot of questions in my Facebook group about how to make a glitter pencil pen. So I want to show everyone today exactly how easy it is to make one yourself. And with this pen, I actually used double-sided sticky tape, and that is how I was able to get my lines so incredibly crisp. And let's get started. So I'm going to take a Papermate Inkjoy pen, and I'm just going to take it apart. I am going to put all of the guts and little pieces to my pen here in this pen tray, which was made by Imagination 3D, and you will actually see me use multiple products in this video from Imagination 3D. I actually have a link down below to all of their products. They have some really awesome products that really help making these pens super easy. As you can see, I just twisted the clip of the pen off really easily, and then now I have my craft knife and I'm just cutting off any little nubs that are poking up on this pen because I want it to be nice and super smooth for glittering it. Once I have all those pieces off, I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper. I like to use 220 grit sandpaper. It's got a sticky back to it, so it sticks to my fingers really well and it makes it super easy to work with. And I have a link to that sandpaper that I use down in the description box below. I got it on Amazon. I get most of my stuff on Amazon, but to make it easier to find, I have a link to it below. And I'm just going to sand the pen really lightly. You don't have to get crazy with it, just enough to scuff it up. Once I do that, I'm gonna take a paper towel with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. This just some Walmart brand alcohol, it's 91%. I'm going to put some alcohol onto this paper towel and I'm just going to wipe my pen down really good. I'm going to wipe off any excess dust or anything that's on there from the sanding and just clean it up to get it ready to be spray painted. I am now going to take my pen clip from Imagination 3D and slide it into my pen. It makes it super easy. You don't have to use dowel rods and fight with those anymore. And I'm going to take my pen saber. It would help if I put the right end on first. And I'm just going to slide my clip down onto it. I'm then going to take my pen outside and spray it with this 2X flat white Rust-Oleum spray paint. Just get a good coat on it. And after that, I'm going to take my pen and set it on my drying rack and let my spray paint completely dry. I let the spray paint dry on my pen for about an hour or so. So now it is time to go ahead and start applying the glitter with the double-sided sticky tape. You'll notice that I have Mod Podge sitting in the background, and my initial thought was that I was going to put a second coat of glitter over my first coat with the double-sided sticky tape by using Mod Podge, but then I ended up not even doing it. So ignore the fact that there's Mod Podge sitting in the background. Didn't even end up needing it, but it was a thought when I first started making this video. I bought this double-sided sticky tape on Amazon and it actually was a big pack. So it came with multiple sizes of sticky tape here. And I just chose one of the medium sizes for this. It seemed like a good size to use for what I was doing. So it was just, I don't know which one it was exactly. It was just one of the middle sizes. Like I said, it came in a big pack. So you just choose whichever one it is that you want whenever you're selecting from the pack of sticky tape. So I have my sticky tape on the tip and now I'm going to start on the metal part of the pencil. And you just want to make sure that your tape is lined up so that it wraps evenly around the pen and it matches up whenever you meet around the other side. When you get to the other side, go ahead and pull up the backing to it and so that the tape will lay over itself, and then you just take your scissors, cut it off and lay it down so it can overlap slightly there, and you just want to push down really good and make sure that it is good and secure on there. So I always like to start off with the darker glitters first, and as you can see right here, I've just got a real thin line of tape there, and this is called Latte. It's from Berry Humble Glitter. And you just sprinkle the glitter onto the double-sided sticky tape. Once you get it on there really good, I like to take my finger, push it down, make sure it's on there real good, and then sprinkle again, and then push it down again. Once I've got that on there really good, we're going to move on to the metal part with a silver glitter. And the silver glitter that I'm going to use for this is called Dancer Pole. It is also by Berry Humble Glitter, and I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did with the brown. I'm just going to sprinkle it on there really good take my finger, mash it down, make sure it's on, and sprinkle again, go around it, mash it down again. So before I got started on the other colors, because they're fairly light, I went ahead and took a paintbrush and just dusted away any excess glitter that was trying to hang out on my other parts. So out of my big stack of double sticky tape rolls, I chose the largest one, and that is the one that I'm going to use to apply the yellow glitter to the pin. Now when you line this up, you want to make sure to line up right against the edge of the glitter that's above it. So I'm going to do the same thing up here by the silver, and then also the same thing on the bottom near the brown. And as you can see, I peel the tape up there, I cut it, and then I overlap it. And I'm just going to do the same thing down the whole part of the pin where our yellow glitter is going to sit. The thing that I really like about using this double-sided sticky tape for this is it makes sure that your lines are super nice and crisp between the different colors. That way you don't have colors fading into other colors and everything. It's just nice crisp lines between each color, making it really look like a pencil. Okay, now that I've got the whole part where our yellow glitter is going to go full of our double-sided sticky tape, I'm going to use Good Old Banana Hammock by Very Humble Glitter, and I'm just going to freely sprinkle that on, just like I did the other colors, getting really good coverage on my pen. Once I get my first layer on, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before, and I'm just going to push it down real good, go back with a second layer of glitter over that, and then I'll push that down really good as well. As you can see, I'm just rolling it through my fingers, making sure that the glitter's laying on there really good. The nice thing about this double-sided sticky tape is it makes it a lot easier in the long run because you actually don't end up having to sand quite as much as you do when you put the glitter on with the epoxy method. Okay, so now to do the eraser part of the pencil here, and I'm just going to take the same size double-sided sticky tape that I used for the brown part and the silver part, and I'm just going to line it up really carefully along the silver glitter here, making sure to follow the line that we've already created, and I'm going to wrap it around doing the same thing that I did before. Now as you see, this sticky tape here actually overlaps the edge just a little bit, which is not a big deal at all because we are going to mash it down and then we are going to epoxy it, and once our pen is epoxied right before we sand it, we're actually going to clean that area up. And I'm just taking my backing to my double-sided sticky tape and mashing it down really good around the curve of the pen where the eraser kind of bends over. So this glitter here is called Mean Girls. It is also by Very Humble Glitter. And I'm going to use the exact same process as before, sprinkle it on the eraser portion of this pen here, and mash it down with my fingers. And then I'm going to go back again and do the same thing. I'm going to sprinkle some more Mean Girls pink glitter on there, and then I will push that down as well, making sure that it lays nice and flat. Okay, and just like that, our pencil pen is completely glittered, and look at those beautiful crisp lines. That was so easy to do with the double-sided sticky tape. So much easier than it was taping it off and Mod Podging and all that. So I've got my pen clip, I'm gonna put it back in, and I'm going to take some 2X Gloss Clear Rust-Oleum spray sealant, and I'm going to give my my pen here, sorry, a really good spray down, just because I don't want my colors to move, and then I'm gonna put it on my drying rack. I'm gonna let that completely dry before applying epoxy. Okay, so now it is time to mix up some of my favorite epoxy, Tumblerpoxy epoxy, and I am mixing up way more than what I need for a pen, but I am working on multiple projects at once, and so I'm going to be using about 30 milliliters total today between my pen and the other project that I'm working on. So I am mixing up 30 milliliters of epoxy, 15 of part A and 15 of part B. And once I get it into my measuring cup here, I'm just going to take a little bit of a larger cup because I would never be able to mix it in that small cup. And so I'm going to transfer it over here and make sure I get all of it out, because you want to make sure that you have a perfect mixture of part A and part B. And like I said, I'm putting it into a little bit larger cup, and I'm just going to mix it. You want to be sure to mix your Tumblerpoxy epoxy for a solid 3 minutes and make sure it is fully blended, no cloudiness or anything like that. Once you get it mixed up, we will be ready to apply it to our pen. As you can see, I'm kind of an aggressive stirrer when it comes to stirring up my epoxy, and that is one thing that I love about Tumblerpoxy, is I really don't have to worry about many micro bubbles at all. Any micro bubbles that I do create while aggressively stirring my epoxy, it works itself out on my pens and tumblers, and I really don't have any issues with it. So I've got my pen turner attachment here, and I've got it on a 3/4 inch PVC. You can also get it for a 1/2 inch PVC. And I have put my pen on the clip and on the pen saber here just to make it easier for holding. And I am now going to apply my epoxy. I have a finger cot on one finger. I like to use the finger cots while I put epoxy on my pens versus using an entire glove for a pen. The finger cots are seriously super cheap, and I get them on Amazon in a big bag full of them. So I personally prefer to use the finger cots while I apply epoxy. And as you can see, while I apply the epoxy, I'm super careful not to get any epoxy in either end of my pen. I'm really careful around both ends, because if you push epoxy up in there, you are not going to be able to get your pen back together properly. So just be really careful when you are spreading your epoxy out. You want to start in the center of your pen and push out. And then I'm also taking care around the pencil eraser tip here to get a good coat of epoxy on that, because we're going to later trim that down. So now that I am happy with my epoxy, I'm going to put it on my turner, and I'm going to let my pen spin. And you always want to hit it with a quick blowtorch just to knock out any little micro bubbles that may try to hang out. Got my blowtorch on Amazon. I will also have that linked below. Just make a quick pass on it, and that's gonna knock out any little micro bubbles. Make sure your epoxy flows really nice and smooth. And I'm going to let my pen spin for about 6 hours or so, maybe a little bit longer, before I put on my next coat. As you can see, for my second coat of epoxy over my glitter, I have a ridiculously large amount of epoxy mixed up yet again. I've probably mixed up about 60 milliliters of epoxy, but as I previously mentioned, I'm working on multiple projects right now. So the epoxy that I have mixed up is for other projects. For example, that cup that's hanging out in the background is going to get a coat of epoxy on it, along with some other things that I'm working on. So I am going to take that, and I'm going to take my finger and do the same thing that I did before, and I'm just going to put a good coat of epoxy on there. You don't want too heavy of a coat of epoxy. You just want a nice light coat. If you put too much epoxy on there, it can cause your pen to really ripple a lot and just not sit smooth. A lot of times when you see pens that people have done that have kind of bubbles on one end or another, or they have ripples throughout, it's because either their turner is not sitting level or they are using too much epoxy. one cool thing about this turner attachment is my product always sits level, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I let my pen dry for about 10 hours or so. I wanted to make sure that it was completely dry before it was time to clean it up and sand it. So as you can see here, right around the eraser tip, where the double-sided sticky tape overlapped there, I'm going to clean that up with a craft knife. I've got a really sharp craft knife, and I'm going to take it and just run it around the inside rim there of the clicker hole. And as I get, you can see the double-sided sticky tape with glitter coming off, and I just pull it off of my blade and just spin it around, and it'll clean it up really easily. Like I said, it's the sharper the knife, the easier it is to cut that off. But just be really careful and spin that blade around inside there, and it will clean that up very nicely there. Okay, and now that I have the hole for the clicker part by the eraser cleared out, I'm going to take some 220 grit sandpaper, the same exact sandpaper that I used before. Like I said, it's got an adhesive back on it, so it makes it really easy to use. And one thing that was really nice about this, using the double-sided sticky tape to apply the glitter, is I barely have any glitter sticking up. I mean, the pencil's already pretty darn smooth. I'm just going to make sure that it is completely smooth around the edges, and then I'll make a quick pass across the pen, just sanding super lightly. It doesn't have to be anything crazy because I didn't have any areas like poking up because I had made sure that the double-sided sticky tape had my glitter already laying pretty flat. And once you're done sanding, I completely forgot to record this part, but I always take my pens to the sink, wash them with Dawn dish soap, and just clean them up really good. And then now I have got, this is called a pen assist, and it is from also Imagination 3D. And you have a clip that goes into either end of the pen, and it literally clips right down into this pen assist, and it holds your pen still while you put your vinyl on. It makes it so much easier. So I cut this name, this is Miss Palmer. I cut this name with my Silhouette Cameo 4, and I just used black Oracle 651 vinyl, and I love my little weeding tools. I got them on Amazon. They make them so much easier. They just make everything easier for me. They're nice and sharp. I love the little hook on it. And then my squeegee here, it's got a nice felt tip to it so it doesn't scratch my vinyl or anything. So this pencil pen here is actually going to my sister. She doesn't know it yet, but if she watches this video, she will find out. She is getting married soon, and her last name will be changing to Palmer. She is a 4th grade teacher, so I thought this would be a nice addition to her classroom once her name has changed. So I'm just going to apply my name here, and I actually made this name right at about 3 inches long and half an inch tall. For anyone who was wondering, the font, I really don't remember what the font was on it. It was just a basic cutesy font that I had in my font library, but I applied the vinyl here, pulled the sticky or the transfer tape off, and there you go. And also there's a little ridge here. If you wanted to lay a pin in it to apply vinyl, you could lay it there as well on the pen assist. So this is a really cool product, and I will have a link to his website down in the description box below. So now it is time to put my last coat of epoxy on this pen. I'm going to pull the little pin clips out, and I'm going to put my bigger pin clip in that is going to attach to my turner attachment. And so I've got my saber on it, and I am going to go ahead and mix up some more Tumblerpoxy epoxy. Using my finger cut, I am going to apply that light coat of Tumblerpoxy epoxy to the pen. And like I said, this is going to be my final coat here, and so you want to make sure it is nice and smooth. I do want to take just a second to mention that all the products that I use in my videos, I have linked down in the description box below to make it easier for you to find. And then I also want to mention that I have created a Patreon account, and we have some really awesome people in the Patreon group. In the Patreon group, I do giveaways. I have discount codes that are exclusive to my KCC diamonds. So I will have that link down in the description box below. I actually just did a giveaway earlier today in my group. I gave away like 3 bags of glitter and a tumbler, and I'm actually going to give away a pencil pen exactly like this one without the Miss Palmer name on it, and I will be giving that away in my group as well. So be sure to check it out. I do giveaways all the time, and it's just a really great opportunity to connect with my subscribers, help them out, answer any questions that they have, and I would really love to see you there. So I've got my pen doing its final spin. I'm going to take my blowtorch, make a quick pass on my pen with it, popping any micro bubbles and making sure that it lays really super smooth. And there you have it. This pencil pen was so incredibly easy to make. The lines are sharp, and I love how it turned out. So after letting my pen completely dry for about 10 hours, it is time to put it back together. So I'm going to take my pen tray where I have all my little bits and pieces stored at, and I'm gonna just put my pen back together, drop the ink thing in there, and twist the cap back on. And as you can see, the pen is in perfect working order, ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and also check out my Patreon group. I would love to see you in there, and I hope everyone has a very great day. Y'all take care. Bye.